Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. I've been asked if I could show how to make more bracelets on my loom. So for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite bracelets that I've been making since I was a little girl. My macrame button bracelets. This one I actually made when I was a little girl, and back then the way to finish hemp bracelets and necklaces was to have a loop at one end and a bead at the other. I don't like doing it this way because if your loop is too big, your bracelet or your necklace is going to fall off. And if it's too tight, it's then too hard to put the bracelet on. So for this tutorial, I'm actually going to be doing two tutorials on this. I'm going to show you how to make two different styles of my macrame button bracelets. The first button bracelet I'm going to show you looks like this. I used three different buttons, a brown flower one, a gray one, and a purple one. And the way that this closes is with a button. So just like this. And the second style I'm going to be showing you is adjustable. So this bracelet here will fit anybody. You pull it open to put it on, put your hand through, hold the bead with one hand, and take your other bead and you pull it to get it on, and you can adjust it to fit your wrist just right. If you have multiple bracelets on, you might want to have it bigger so you could stack bracelets. So I'm going to be showing you how to do two different styles, and the best thing about this style of bracelet is you can use 2-hole buttons, 4-hole buttons, shank buttons. On this one I actually did shank buttons. This is what they look like on the bottom, and I combined beads. This one I did all 2-hole buttons, and this one that I made a very long time ago, I used buttons and beads. So you can use 2-hole, 4-hole, and shank buttons for these bracelets. You can use many different kinds of cords to make these bracelets, but two of my favorite cords to use are cotton cord and nylon cord. This is actually a nylon crochet thread. I bought it at Walmart for $4. I found it in the bead aisle, which was right near the crochet stuff. So it says 100% nylon crochet thread, and there's 150 yards on it. So I'll be able to make several bracelets out of this one spool. So what's the best about the nylon cord is that it's meltable. So instead of having crazy knots in your bracelet, what you do is you tie your knots, your square knots, and you pull your last knot tight, you cut the cords, and you leave just a little bit left, and you burn it with either a lighter or a thread burner. I don't have a thread burner, so I have to use a lighter. And you press it in, and what it does is it melts all the fibers together, so it's not going to come undone. I also did the same right here. You could see where it's just a little bit shiny, where I had finished it off. So this style bracelet really works best with a nylon cord because it's meltable. A lot of people do this style of a bracelet with a leather cord and they glue the ends, but sometimes it'll come undone. And the reason why is because the glue, or the clear nail polish, you can also use that, doesn't absorb that well into the leather. So with cords like the nylon cord and the cotton cord, the glue absorbs into the material and really bonds it together. So to finish off the knots with the nylon cord, I will be using a lighter, and also whenever you cut the cord, it's best to immediately burn the ends so it doesn't unravel. So burning prevents it from unraveling, and also when you burn the ends and twist it together, you'll be able to put on buttons and beads a lot easier because it's not unraveling, and it's like a needle. Basically, it makes it into a needle. So with the cotton cord, I like using a clear nail polish because it's really thin, the nail polish is, and it absorbs into the cords. So right here is what the cord looks like with no nail polish. So you see it's started to fray. And this one I did clear nail polish, and it's really stiff. So it's like a needle, so it's not going to unravel, and it's going to make it a lot easier to put beads and buttons on. And a while ago before I figured this out. It was really hard to put small beads on that had small holes. So with this, you can actually use 6OC beads if you wanted to, because it keeps it from unraveling. The clear nail polish does. So this cord is a 1mm cord, and this is basically the same size as this, so I figured that it's about 1mm too, or smaller. And another thing I wanted to mention is if you have buttons with really small holes, you can use even a smaller cord, like an Echelon cord. Here is the list of materials you will need to make this style of bracelet. You're going to need a 1mm cord or smaller. It really depends on the size of the holes in your buttons. You're going to take and cut one cord 7 feet long, and that's going to be the cord we're tying the knots with. You're going to cut a second cord 30 inches long, and that's going to be the core cord of our bracelet that we're going to put the buttons on, and we're also going to stretch it out over our loom. You're going to need 11 to 12 buttons. So 12 buttons is an 8-inch bracelet, and 11 is like a 7 to 7.5 inch bracelet. Now if you're using a nylon cord, you're going to have to use the lighter to melt the ends. So I have my knot just at this end here. So I cut my 4 cords off, I melted it, I pressed it in, and then I actually spun the lighter around this big knot here to really bond it together. If you're using a cotton cord, which is actually what I'm going to be using, so this is made with nylon cord, but in the video I'm going to make this same bracelet with a cotton cord. If you're using the cotton cord, you'll need the clear nail polish to seal the ends and seal the knots. So that's all you're going to need for this style. So I'm going to show you how to seal the ends of the cotton cord with the clear nail polish, so it's a fine point so you'll be able to pass through small beads and buttons. So dip your nail polish, wipe one side off, and I'm going to do about 1/2 inch of my cord and just rub the clear nail polish on there. Now don't let it dry like this. Take your fingers and wipe it on the cord and roll it. Doing this is compacting the cord so it's thinner. So see, it's getting a little bit thinner there. And if you just left the clear nail polish on, it's actually going to be thicker than you want it to be. So put it on and roll it between your fingers, and it dries pretty fast. So once you do that, just sit it to the side and let it harden. So that's how you put the clear nail polish on the. So go ahead and lay your buttons out with your beads if you're using beads in the pattern that you want to do it. Now we're going to take the cord that's 30 inches long, make sure that you have your ends sealed, and what we're going to do is we're going to put our buttons on. Now I found that 4-hole buttons and 2-hole buttons go on differently for this design, so I'm going to show you how to do both ways. So we have 2 cords in our core in the center of our bracelet. Now with the 4-hole button, I'm going to pick up the button we want for our clasp. So I'm going to use this pearly one here. At this end I did the purple one for our clasp. So this is the first button we're going to pick up, and what we're going to do is take our ends and put them through the bottom of the button diagonal from each other. So not across, diagonal. We're going to pull them through the top, make sure they're even, and slide this button all the way down. Then we're going to take one of the cords, and I'm going to go through this hole, or I could go through the other hole, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take this cord and go down through this hole, pull it out, pull your cords tight, make sure your ends are even, and this is what it looks like on the bottom, and this is the top. So I'm doing straight. stripes of the thread on the top of my button. Now we have to tie the knot, which is very easy. I'm just going to go like this and put the button through the knot and push the knot up toward the button like this and go higher. Right there. That's how you want it to look. You do want a little space right there because that's where we're going to put our hook on our loom to keep this on our loom. So the next thing you have to do is thread these buttons on, which is really easy, and you just go up from the bottom in the holes. They're beside each other. Pull it through. I'm going to slide this down to about here, and then take one cord and go down this hole. There's one line, and I'm going to do the other. So keep going, doing this with the 4-hole buttons. The next one, of course, you're going to go up through the bottom and then down. Keep going, and you could space these about an 1.5 inches apart. We will be sliding them up and down on our loom to get them into the right places. So now I'm going to show you how to make this style of bracelet with a 2-hole button, which is a little bit different. So with the 4-hole button, we first put on our clasp button and then we tie a knot behind that button. But when using 2-hole buttons, you can't do it like that because your other cord is going to be shorter, because we're only going to use one cord to string our buttons because those have 2 holes. So what you're going to do is string on your clasp button first, then string on the rest of your pattern. Don't tie any knots. So this is what mine looks like, no knots. Then put your ends together, find your button that you want for your clasp, and pull it till it's center of your cord. Now you're able to tie a knot right here, and your cord ends are even. So I went ahead and finished putting all my buttons on. Make sure that all your buttons are facing up like this in the same direction. Now I have to take and put my bracelet on my loom. If you haven't already made my loom, I have a tutorial telling how I made it. I'll leave a link for that tutorial in the description bar below this video, and there you'll find a video of me telling you how I made this loom. So I have a hook right here, and I'm going to take and attach this bracelet to the hook. So right here is that loop I made. So I'm just gonna put that through that little loop right there. Stretch my bracelet over the top so that all the buttons are laying up. And then down here I'm gonna tie a knot around this screw. So I'm just gonna go like that. Tie it here. Don't tie it real tight. You do need this to be movable because we're going to be sliding the buttons up and down. So tie it to where it's like that, and then tie another knot like this, and instead of tying it on the back, go to the front side. And sometimes when I have to take it off the loom, I'll just take tweezers and pick the knot out so it's easier to come undone. So now we're ready to tie our square knots, and what I'm doing is I'm taking my 7-foot cord that I already cut, and I'm going to take one string and put it under the bracelet, put my ends together. Now I have to go out of camera view because I have 7 feet of cord here, so try to find center of the cord. Now we're going to tie a knot. So there's about center. I'm going to take and pass my cord under like that. So now I have a knot here. I'm just going to bring this down and check to make sure that my ends are even, and they're not even, so I have to pull on one side. So put them together, slide my fingers down, undo this knot that's already loose. Okay, now it's even, and now I could slowly slide that knot down. Okay, now it should be even. I'm going to check again. and it's even. Okay, so here's my first knot. I'm going to zoom in. It's a little hard to see. So here's my first knot. I'm going to slide that up to the button. Now that's the center of our cord, and now we're going to start tying our square knots. To make it easier to work with long pieces of cord, I take hair rubber bands. You can buy these any place that sells hair stuff, and I just wind up my cord and put them on my cords. So I have about 1.5 feet of working cord that I'm going to work with here, and when it starts getting shorter you just pull it out or take the rubber band off and get some out. Okay, so I'm going to take the right cord, lay it over the top of my bracelet, take my left cord, go over the right cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. This is my first knot. Now for my second knot, I'm going to take my left cord, lie it over top of the bracelet, take my right cord over this left cord, go under the bracelet and through this loop. Tie the knot. So now I have 2 knots. I'm going to take my right cord, lie it over top of my bracelet, take my left, go over the right cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. Pull the knot up, and it's sliding away from my button, so I'm just going to push that up in place. Now I have to tie a left knot. So I'm going to take my left cord, lie it over top of the bracelet, take my right cord, go over the left cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. And slide my knot up. I now have 4 knots, and how I tell that is I can count these lines right here. Right here is the knot I tied to attach it to the warp cord. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 knots. So now I have to tie 2 more knots, and the last knot I tied was the left knot. And you could tell the last knot you tied. If you forget the last knot you tied, you can tell by looking at it, because you could see that this one over here, the left comes up and over, and it goes through the right cord. So that's how you can tell if you leave this bracelet and you go do something, you come back. That's how you could tell what the last knot was that you tied. So to tie the right, take the right cord, lay over top of the bracelet, take your left, go over the right cord, under the bracelet, and through the loop. Bring this up. Here's my 5th knot, and now I'm going to do my 6th. Lay the left cord over the bracelet, take your right cord, go over the left cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. So I kind of found with the space behind that button that it's about the space of 8 knots. So what I do is I have 6 knots here at the beginning, and at the end I have 6 knots, but in between all the buttons I did 8. And then when I close it, it's kind of even, and it doesn't look so much like there's a big space in between. It kind of looks continuous right here in this spot. So after the 6th knot, I'm going to slide my button up. So hold this with your right hand and slide the button up, tip it up kind of at an angle, slide it up. And now the next knot we tie is the right knot. So put my right cord over the bracelet, take my left cord over the right cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. Pull it up tight so there's no gap in the bottom. There's still a gap, but that will be fixed when we tie another knot. So now I have to do the left cord. So left over the bracelet, right cord over the left cord, under the bracelet, through this loop. pull this up, we'll pull this tight again, and then we'll pull this one up. Okay, just like that, and there's no gap underneath the button. So I just did left. Now I have to do right. Right, left over the right, under the bracelet and through this loop. So there's 2 knots. Right over the bracelet, left over the cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. 3 knots. Left over the bracelet, right over this left cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. There's 4 knots. I'm going to do 4 more knots. So take your right cord, lay it over the bracelet, take your left cord over your right cord, under the bracelet, through this loop. 5. Now here's 6. Left over bracelet, right over left cord, under bracelet, through loop. 2 more knots. Right over the bracelet, left over the right cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. 1 more knot. Left over the bracelet, right under the cord, and through the loop. There's my 8 knots, and if you forget, you remember you could flip it over and you can count the cords in the middle. So now I'm going to slide up my next button and continue knotting. And I think I showed you how to do it enough times for you to do this by your own now. If you have any problems, just rewind the video and watch what I did again. So I'm going to keep going till I get all the way to the end of my bracelet here, and I'll show you how to finish it off. So I finished tying my knots, and my bracelet turned out really pretty, but I did run into a problem, and I'm going to tell you about it because you might run into the same problem. So I've been making button bracelets since I was a little girl, and I've mostly been using hemp cord, not cotton or the nylon, because I couldn't find it back then. And when I did make them, I always used beads and buttons together. So I've been making this style, and so far I've just been making this style only in the nylon. So I've made a couple bracelets in just the nylon, but I haven't tried the cotton until I filmed this video. So I noticed when I got to my 12th button, I wanted my bracelet to be 8 inches, so I went on and I got to my 12th button, and I noticed that it was like 6 inches and I needed more space. So what I had to do is, luckily I had 2 more buttons, I had to add 2 more buttons to get it to 8 inches. So I don't know why it's turned out so different. Maybe this is just a little bit thinner than this, or maybe I tied my knots tighter in this than I did this. This cord is silky and this is kind of a rougher feeling cord. So anyways, I just wanted to let you know about that problem. I did tie the same amount of knots. I've tied 6 knots at the beginning because of the knot that I have from my button, and down here it's about the length of the 8 knots in between. So I do 6 knots at the beginning, 6 at the end, and 8 in between all of these. But for some reason this one turned out shorter. The only thing that I'm bummed out about is that with this one my pattern was continuous all the way around when I closed it. So it's purple, brown, gray, and when I closed it, it continues right here. The pattern, purple, brown, gray, purple, brown, gray. But this one, I had to do the pearl, the brown, and then the pearl and the brown, and I can't add another blue bead because it'll be way too huge. So now when I close it, I'm not going to have my blue bead there. But that's okay, because it still looks nice, and it's going to be too much work taking it apart, and I don't have another blue button, so it's going to have to stay like this. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that problem, in case you run into it, because I know what it's like when sometimes you watch somebody's video and you're making something and you run into a problem and they never tell you about it and you're freaking out and you don't know what to do. So that's what I wanted to tell you, and now I'm going to show you how to finish the bracelet. Before you tie this knot, you might notice that your bracelet seems a little bunched up because of the button. So what I do is I pull it and it stretches it out and it fixes the problem. So now we have to tie our knot down here, and I'm going to cut my 2 cords here the same length, so they're kind of like that, so those aren't so long. And now I could tie my knot. So I'm going to pull my cord flat like this. I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to take my cord and go through it, all 4. Just like this. Don't pull it real tight because we have to make sure our button is going to pass through it. So I have to pull it this way, make it bigger. So there's 4 cords, and I pass my button through the center. And it's just right. So what I have to do is get a pair of pliers, which I forgot. I'm using nylon pliers, but you can use chain nose or bent nose pliers. And since this is right where we need it to be, we have to tighten these super tight. So I'm going to take 1 cord at a time and pull on it. Hold the knot in between your fingers. Just like this. Make sure it still fits. It does. So pull each cord very tight. And there you go. There's your knot. If you want, you can put clear nail polish on it, and I usually do. Something else you could do to make this a little bit fancy, I did this in my 5-row wrap bracelet, is before you cut these cords, you could put beads on these cords and then tie a knot after the bead. That just makes it a little bit fancier. And you could do beads like seed beads or whatever. So if you want, you could go ahead, look through your beads and see if you have any beads that will match your buttons and put them on there. And not glue those knots too. You would have to put clear nail polish on those knots. So if you put your beads in here, make sure you put clear nail polish on those knots that are going to be over here. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and follow me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the things you've made on Facebook. Thanks for watching.